Video productions from thefinalgate.com. Hey, this is Kenny B here, finalgate.com. Hey, listen, this is some videos, a part one and a part two of a theory that I have on, the beast, mark of the beast, 666. So enjoy. Be sure to watch part one first and then watch part two. So enjoy. Okay, welcome to part one of a two-part video series. I'm reading out of Revelations chapter 13. I'm going to start in verse 15. He was granted power to give breath to the image of the beast, that the image of the beast should both speak and cause as many as would not worship the image of the beast to be killed. He causes both small and great, rich and poor, free and slave, to receive a mark on their right hand or on their foreheads, and that no one may buy or sell except one who has the mark or the name of the beast or the number of his name. And I've always, been curious how in the world that we were going to have, or anybody would take a mark that would include the 666, which is the number of his name, and also the number of a man. So what I did is I wrote a program to do something, and I want to first show you or give you a little bit of a computer science course real quickly. This is an ASCII characters chart. And let's take the letter K, for example, and then it relates to a hexadecimal 4B. Well, that in turn relates back to the binary equivalent that's actually stored on a hard drive. For example, we have hexadecimal 0 through 9, and then the letters A through F that represents 10 through 15. So we really have a 16 base numbering system in computer science. And if you look at the letter K, you'll see that the hexadecimal that relates to it is 4B. And so we can then take the 4 and go locate, we know what the binary is for 4, so it picks that up off of a hard drive or memory. So it relates back to 4. And then it does the same thing with B. See, that's how that works. And so that's how we come up with the letter K. So when you type in the letter K in a computer, it uses this chart to then get back to the binary equivalent so that it can pull it up or save it. Now, what I did is I wrote a program that would allow me to enter a word or phrase, and then it would go and get the decimal, the hexadecimal, and the octadecimal of that character from that ASCII chart. And the idea was that I wanted to add those figures up to see if I could get something down here to total to 666. That was my thinking. So that's what this is. So let me enter the letter K, for example, so that we can look at that, and you see that it returned back the 4B, which is the hexadecimal for the letter K. Okay. Now, what I did in this case, because I can't add B up, what I did was just looked at that as being a 40 and the B being 11. And so that's why it totaled to 51. Now, I was able to find a word, and it's actually, the word is addictions, and it totaled to 666. So I knew, hey, maybe I'm on to something here. And addictions seems like it would work for the name of Satan, or, relating back to him, because, addiction is a pretty powerful word. But I felt like there was more to it than that. So what I did was I just kept researching the area of computer science. And then I started looking at the IP addresses. So we've had two types. We've got IPv4, which is a 32-bit, which is what we're used to. And then in 1998, they realized that they were going to have more than 4.3 billion devices. So they come up with IPv6, and it's 128-bit, which can handle 340 trillion. So that should be plenty. So that's what they started in 1998, or they released it. Now, just to give you a little bit more information about IP addresses, the 32-bit version of it worked like this. It would use a byte to recover, the first three, and then a byte for the second three, and the third and fourth. And that's kind of the way it worked. So if the first was 192, then it would turn that on with a 1, and so it'd be 128 plus 64, which would equal 192, and then 168, the second, would be 128 plus 32 plus 8. Okay, and then the 16 and so forth. So that's basically how the IPv4 worked. And the maximum address support was 4.3 billion. Let's take a look at the IPv6. Now, it's much different. And what it does, it's made up of 8 blocks, if you will. But each letter does not take up a whole byte like the letter K did, because they're only using the hexadecimal value. So they can only use 0 through 9 and A through F. That's the only letters that can be used in numbers in this IPv6 addressing scheme. So as you can see, the binary equivalent of hexadecimal 2 is that, which matches that. And then the 6, which is the second digit in that, is actually the 6 here. And then the 0, and then the 5. And then the next 4 characters works the same way. It's just another byte, another 2 bytes actually. So the B lines up with the B, and then the A lines up with the A, and it's really what they call niblets. So it's really half a byte, and that's kind of the way that works. So the max address support for that is 340 trillion. So in my investigation and in continuing to study about this, I come across the fact that Facebook actually received their IPv6 address back in 2012. And if you'll notice that they were instrumental in developing this as well. They were a big part of it. And you'll notice that they were able to brand their name into their address. And of course, this is static. I mean, it's a static address to Facebook.com. So I thought to myself, wow, that's interesting. So I cranked up my program, and I thought, hey, let me bring this up. Let me flip to the next screen. That gives us a bigger view of that. So this is it right here. And what I did basically is I just simply took out the colons. And you'll notice that those are not the letter O's. Those are zeros, because the letter O does not exist in this hexadecimal world here. Neither does the letter K. So that's why they used a C, so that it's zeros for O and a C for K. So I removed the colons because they're not in that hexadecimal world either. So I thought, let me just enter that. Let me enter that Facebook C0 into my program and see what happens. FACE B00C 025DE. And lo and behold, that thing hit 666. It blew me away. And I was like, wow, I can't believe that. But then I got to studying it and got to really thinking about it. And the truth is that I could flip the F and A here and say AFCE B00C025DE, and I would still total up to 666 because it's the letters and numbers is what's doing that. That is no longer Facebook's IP address, see? So that got me to working in other areas and so forth. And so this concludes part 1. Be sure and watch part 2, and I'll follow up and continue on with what I want to present. Thanks.